A big, cold, and shiny room was full of aliens. They were important leaders from different space countries. Everyone felt nervous. A quiet buzzing sound filled the air as the aliens talked quietly to each other. They were all different sizes, colors, and shapes. In the middle of the room, on a raised platform, stood a human kid. He was about 8 years old. He wore a simple Earth uniform. His eyes looked around nervously, shining from the strange alien symbols on the walls. He looked tiny compared to the tall aliens around him. The main alien, Zedyear, looked at the kid with dislike. Zedyear was like a skeleton covered in shiny black armor. He tapped his long fingers on a control panel. The aliens were there to talk about something serious. They thought humans were causing trouble in space. They had to decide what to do, and it could change everything. Zedyear's voice boomed through the room. Humans, he said, have broken many space rules. They've disobeyed us, taken over more land than they should, and are likely to become violent. This child proves how bad they are. Some aliens nodded. Others looked unsure. A human woman, Dr. Evelyn Grant, stood at the bottom of the platform. She was scared but determined. "He's just a kid," she said. "He's not responsible for what humans have done." Zedyear rolled his eyes. "Your opinions don't matter," he said. "The rules are clear. We have to punish them. If we want to control humans, we have to show them what happens when they break the rules." A tall, scary lizard alien hissed, "Humans cause trouble. They need to learn to obey the rules of space." The little boy, Timmy, held a worn-out teddy bear. His lip trembled, and he looked at Dr. Grant with pleading eyes. "I just want to go home," he whispered. Dr. Grant's eyes filled with tears, but she tried to be strong. "You don't understand," she told the aliens. "We're not like you. We—" Zedyear held up his hand to stop her. "Enough," he said. "It's time to vote." He looked at the others. Should the boy be killed as a warning to all humans? A screen lit up, and each alien voted. The screen turned red, guilty. Zedyear nodded. "He will be killed." Dr. Grant screamed. Timmy froze in fear. His chest went up and down quickly, and his eyes searched for a way out. Robot guards moved towards him, their metal arms reaching out. One arm moved towards Timmy. Suddenly, the lights flickered and shadows danced on the walls. A loud rumbling sound shook the room. Something new had arrived, something powerful that didn't have to follow the aliens' rules. The air buzzed. A huge, glowing picture of a strong man in old armor appeared above the table, the unmistakable insignia of Earth's. Long-forgotten fleets this tribunal is. Over the figure's voice was gruff-filled, with authority and an undercurrent of something more terrifying certainty. Gasps filled the chamber as the figure's face became clearer. General Marcus Vale, a legend in human military history, presumed dead for over a century. The council members, even ZZYR, stiffened in their seats. Earth stands for its own will, continued his piercing eyes locking onto Zedyear. "You dare threaten our children. You forget your place." "Impossible." Zed snared, but his voice betrayed uncertainty. "Human forces have no jurisdiction here. We hold supreme authority." Ville's lips curled into a knowing smirk. "You think Earth bends to anyone's rules? We don't negotiate under threats. We define the battlefield, and you're standing on it." The hologram flickered and the chamber doors burst open, revealing heavily armed human soldiers clad in sleek black armor lined with glowing red visors. They moved with deadly precision, taking positions around the room. Evelyn's heart pounded as hope surged through her. Timmy stared in awe, his heart pounding in his chest as the soldiers formed a protective perimeter around him, their visors gleaming with an eerie red glow that made them seem almost otherworldly. Withdraw your sentence, Vil commanded, his voice sending chills through the assembly. Zed's claws twitched in frustration, his mandibles clicking in agitation. This is an act of war. His voice wavered, betraying the uncertainty creeping into his calculated demeanor. Vil leaned in, his holographic form looming over the council. War? Oh, you have no idea what war means until you faced Earth's ancient fleets. Do you want to see what humanity truly holds in its arsenal? We were kind enough to hide it. A murmur of fear swept through the council chamber. Even the cruel diplomat shifted uneasily in his seat. Evelyn took a cautious step forward. We are not here to make war. We just want to take our child and leave in peace. Zed's eyes flicked between Vil and the soldiers. He weighed his options carefully. Finally he nodded the barest of gestures and waved a hand toward the drones. Release the child. The mechanical restraints unlocked and Timmy ran into Evelyn's arms, sobbing. The soldiers stood their ground, their eyes scanning the room for any sign of deception. Vale's hologram lingered for a moment longer. Consider this your only warning. Harm one more of ours and you'll understand what it means to awaken an ancient fleet. With that the hologram fizzled out and the human forces withdrew, escorting Evelyn and Timmy to safety. Silence fell over the council chamber, leaving only the distant echo of footsteps fading away. Yet an ominous tension hung in the air, a silent promise that Earth's response had merely begun to unfold. Zed's claws tightened into a fist. Humans are not to be underestimated. The council chamber remained in stunned silence long after the human forces had withdrawn. Their footsteps, a distant echo reverberating through the vast halls. Zed's skeletal form quivered, his elongated fingers twitching involuntarily as his cold, calculating mind churned through countless contingencies, each more desperate than the last. The other council members exchanged wary glances, their once assured demeanor now laced with unease. This cannot stand. The cruel diplomat rasped, his reptilian scales rippling with agitation. Humanity has violated our sovereignty. They have openly defied our judgment. Zed straightened, his obsidian armor catching the dim chamber light. Indeed, their audacity knows no bounds. If we allow this insult to go unpunished, the entire fabric of interstellar law will unravel. We must respond. A low murmur rippled through the chamber, punctuated by the rhythmic clicking of insectoid diplomats. Confirmed in hushed tones. A towering amphibious representative from the KTH Dominion croaked out, "We must act with caution. The humans are unpredictable. Their ancient fleets are spoken of in whispers. Whispers are nothing compared to the iron will of the Council." Zed spat, slamming his palm against the control panel, sending a reverberating pulse through the chamber. "We will not cower before their threats. Mobilize the Grand Armada. We will crush them before they have the chance to become a greater threat." Yet even as his words rang with confidence, a palpable hesitation filled the air. The Council had underestimated humanity before, and now they stood on the precipice of a war unlike any before. Far across the galaxy, aboard the newly activated flagship Indomitable, General Marcus Vale stood before a tactical display. The dim glow cast harsh shadows across his chiseled features, each flicker of data illuminating the grim reality ahead. Rows of holographic projections flickered around him, depicting the rapidly changing galactic situation. Human forces were mobilizing in response to the Council's aggression. And the stakes had never been higher, sir. A lieutenant approached, saluting crisply. We've detected an escalation in Council. Fleet movements they're rallying near. The Dela sector estimated fleet strength. Over 1,000 capital ships. Vales gazed Ed, they're not wasting any time, Dr. Evelyn Grant stood nearby, her arms crossed tightly as she watched the projections with mounting anxiety. Do they really think they can win this? Vale's jaw clenched. They don't understand us, Evelyn. They see treaties and borders as barriers. We see them as mere stepping stones. We fight for survival, and they've just threatened the one thing we fight the hardest for our children. He turned back to the display, tapping into the controls. Activate the old war protocols. We're bringing the ancient fleets online. Let them see just how deep our history runs across the Sol system, deep beneath the Martian surface. Ancient bunkers, long thought abandoned, flickered to life. Buried warships, relics of humanity's past conflicts, groaned and shifted there. Holes trembling under the surge of reactivated power cores. The cavernous hangars echoed with the low hum of awakening titans, casting eerie shadows across the steel-clad walls. Engineers scrambled to their stations, bringing the forgotten behemoths back to operational status. The hum of reactors reactivating filled the underground hangars, and the crimson glow of long-dormant engines illuminated the darkness. Status report, Vale demanded as incoming data streamed in. The Archangel, Sovereign Spear, and Eclipse Rising are online, sir. An officer reported their AI cores are fully operational and weapon systems are responding. Their old but still formidable. Goodville muttered, very good. Meanwhile, in the Council's war room, Zwer examined intelligence reports on humanity's growing military strength, his mandibles clicking in irritation. We cannot allow them to gain the advantage. Deploy forward strike teams to disrupt their mobilization. The cruel diplomat nodded sharply. We should target their logistical networks, cut them off before they can bring their full might to bear. The Council's plan was set in motion, but in their rush to contain humanity, they had once again underestimated their resilience as elite alien strike teams moved to sabotage Earth's war efforts. They encountered something no intelligence report had ever prepared them for: the unrelenting ingenuity of humanity on an asteroid mining outpost. Along the border, a squad of Council operatives infiltrated the facility, aiming to able critical supply lines. They were met not with soldiers but with miners, gritty, determined men and women, who wielded their mining tools with lethal precision. Plasma drills tore through alien armor, and reinforced exosuits turned the tide in brutal close quarters combat. The Council operatives, expecting an easy victory, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. "Sir, we have a situation," a panicked voice crackled over ZZ's communicator. The Grand Arbiter's eyes narrowed. What now? The humans, they're resisting far more effectively than anticipated. Our infiltration teams are being routed. They're fighting back with terrifying efficiency. Zad are hissed in frustration. Then we escalate. Prepare orbital bombardments. Earth will learn its place in the cosmos. But as the Council's forces prepared their next move, humanity's ancient fleets began their advance from hidden bases across the system. The great ships emerged, massive, battle-worn relics with a legacy of war. They moved with purpose, their commanders seasoned in the art of adaptive warfare. General Ville watched from the bridge of the Indomitable, a wry smile forming They never learn. Let's remind them why. Humans should never be cornered. Humanity's survival now hung in the balance, a fragile yet unyielding force, and the galaxy would soon bear witness to their resilience. The of space crackled with tension as the massive human fleet, led by the Indomitable, surged forward from the shadows of the Sol system. On the bridge, General Marcus Vil stood resolute, his eyes locked onto the swirling mass of council ships gathered in the Dela sector, the once mighty Galactic Council which had ruled the stars with an iron grip, now faced an adversary it had underestimated for far too long. Status report, Vil demanded, his voice cutting through the tense air. All systems green, sir, replied Commander Lu, her fingers dancing across the tactical interface. The ancient fleets are fully operational and our strike forces are holding formation. Council forces have established a blockade, but their movements suggest uncertainty. They weren't expecting us to mobilize this quickly. Vil allowed himself a brief, knowing grin, the weight of countless battles reflected in his eyes. They never see it coming. Get me a direct link to the fleet. A moment later his voice echoed across the command channels, reaching every soldier and officer. This is it, people. The council thought they could bully us, thought they could take what is ours, but they forgot the one thing that makes us different. We fight for each other and we never back down. Show them why humanity endures. A chorus of affirmations roared through the comms, and with a swift motion Vil gave the command, engage the ancient human warships. Towing relics of past conflicts surged forward like beasts awakened from a deep slumber. The council fleet scrambled to respond, unleashing a barrage of plasma fire and kinetic strikes. Yet humanity's ships, designed for adaptive warfare, weaved through the onslaught with surgical precision. On the council flagship Supremacy, Grand Arbiter Zidu watched the battle unfold, his mandibles twitching in frustration. They should not be this formidable, he hissed, his eyes darting to the tactical display. Deploy the vanguard. Overwhelm their flanks. The council's vanguard ships moved swiftly, their sleek forms cutting through space with precision, but their rigid maneuvers followed patterns humanity had long since deciphered, leaving them vulnerable to well-placed counterattacks. Vil had anticipated this maneuver, and as the enemy closed in, the eclipse rising, an ancient battleship long thought obsolete pivoted with astonishing grace, unleashing a coordinated salvo of rail gunfire. The vanguard ships exploded in fiery bursts, their remains drifting into the void. Sir, the enemy's flank is collapsing, Lu reported with barely contained excitement. Vil nodded. Push the advantage, drive them into the maelstrom. Nebula, we'll use the radiation pockets to disrupt their formation on the ground. Earth's defenders braced as covert council operatives moved through the shadows, their footsteps silent but their intent deadly, aiming to key installations with precision and stealth. But humanity's defenders were prepared. In a subterranean command center deep within the Martian surface, Evelyn Grant coordinated defensive operations, her face a mask of focus. We've got infiltrators in the eastern sector, a security officer reported there, targeting our power grids. Evelyn didn't hesitate. Redirect drone units and initiate lockdown protocols. No one gets in or out in the tunnels below. Council Sabower found themselves trapped in an unforgiving maze of automated defenses. Plasma turrets sprung to life and mechanized units armed with advanced AI cornered the intruders with ruthless Efficiency, they underestimated us again, Evelyn murmured, watching the tactical feed with satisfaction back in the Della sector. The battle raged on humanity's resilience and adaptability were proving to be the Council's greatest undoing. Zedyear, now pacing with frustration, turned to his commanders. Launch the dreadnoughts, crush them before they gain further ground. A ripple of dread spread through Vale's bridge crew as the Council's colossal dreadnoughts emerged from hyperspace, their massive forms blotting out entire sections of the starfield. They brought the big guns, Lou whispered. Vilk's eyes darkened with resolve as he considered the weight of his command. Leighton, show them why Earth's fleets are legends. Order the Archangel to engage. Wake the old guardians. The Archangel, humanity's last surviving supercarrier from the galactic wars, moved forward with a deliberate grace. Its weapon systems, ancient but meticulously maintained, fired in devastating precision, sending shock waves through the Council's lines. Sir, the dreadnoughts are focusing fire on our flagship. Shields are holding, but not for long, an officer shouted. Vil's mind raced. Initiate maneuver Omega-12. Draw them into a crossfire. We'll give them too many targets to focus on. The fleet executed the maneuver flawlessly, splitting into strategic formations that overwhelmed the Council's targeting systems. One by one, the colossal dreadnoughts succumbed to precise, relentless attacks aboard the Supremacy. Zedyear slammed his clawed hand against the command console. This is impossible. They are mere humans. His second-in-command, a composed but visibly shaken Zenthan, murmured. Perhaps they are more than we assumed, Arbiter. Vil observed the Council's fleet fracture and scatter like a flock of startled birds, their once imposing formation disintegrating under humanity's relentless advance. They breaking, he said softly. Push them out of our system, but don't pursue. We send a message today, not a slaughter. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Vil remained stoic, his eyes fixed on the fleeing remnants of the Council's once mighty force. We won't always be underestimated, he muttered, but they'll always remember today as the battle wound down. Humanity had done the impossible once again, defied the galactic order and stood victorious. But the war was far from over, and Vil knew the Council would return, perhaps with an even more desperate vengeance. The aftermath of the battle in the Della sector left the galaxy in stunned silence. The Gala IC Council's once unquestioned authority had been shattered, and humanity had emerged not just as a force to be reckoned with, but as a symbol of resilience and defiance against tyranny. Aboard the indomitable General Marcus Vale stood at the observation deck, gazing out at the wreckage of Council ships drifting silently through the void. The stars beyond seemed unchanged, indifferent to the struggles of those who fought beneath them. Yet Vil knew that the course of history had shifted irreversibly. Dr. Evelyn Grant approached, her expression solemn but hopeful. We did it, Marcus. We held our ground. Vale nodded, his eyes locked on the drifting wreckage, silent reminders of the battle's cost. We did more than that, Evelyn. We proved that humanity isn't just a collection of planets and people. We are an idea that refuses to be extinguished. Meanwhile, back at Earth, the news of their victory spread like wildfire across the planet. People celebrated not for victory but for survival and the hope of a future without fear. The Galactic Council, humbled and fractured, convened an emergency summit. Grand Arbiter Zal Zedyear, once so confident in The council's absolute dominion now, stood before the assembly with a heavy heart. We misjudged humanity, he admitted, his voice a mixture of regret and grudging respect. Their defiance was not born of arrogance but of something far deeper, something we failed to understand. A hushed murmur filled the chamber. The council had learned a hard lesson. Power alone was not enough to control the destiny of a species. Understanding, respect, and coexistence were far more powerful tools in an unprecedented decision. The council offered Earth a seat as an equal, recognizing humanity's resilience and strength. Humanity, once seen as an upstart race, had earned its place among the stars. At the acceptance ceremony, Vil stood before the assembled representatives, his voice steady but firm. We did not seek this war, but we did not shrink from it. Our strength is not in our weapons, but in our unwavering belief that freedom is worth fighting for. Let this be the lesson learned, that strength tempered by wisdom is the path to true progress. The applause that followed was not just from human representatives, but from across the many alien civilizations present. In the end, humanity had not just won a battle. They had altered the very fabric of interstellar diplomacy. As the fleets dispersed and the war-worn soldiers returned home, Earth stood taller, not just as a world, but as a beacon of hope. The message was clear: unity, resilience, and the will to fight for what is right would always triumph over oppression. Dr. Grant, watching the celebrations from the steps of the United Earth Embassy, turned to Vil. Do you think they'll ever truly understand us? Vil gave a small, weary smile. Maybe not, but they'll respect us. And in the end, that's enough. Above them, the stars remained indifferent while humanity pressed forward, united by an unbreakable spirit. Moral of the story: strength is not in power alone, but in wisdom and understanding, key to a future founded on respect and unity.